Well, ladies and gentlemen, where to start? There's so much crap flying around and slamming up against the wall by this administration and others, it's hard to know where to start cleaning. But start we will. And I want to start with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a communist. He's always been a communist. He's always been on the wrong side of liberty versus tyranny, good versus evil. He backed the Soviet Union against the United States. He backed Castro against the freedom fighters. He backed Nicaragua and other communist regimes in our hemisphere. He's backed the communists. He's also backed the Palestinian terrorists. And he has said almost nothing about the Iranian terrorists. Because Bernie Sanders is a Marxist. Bernie Sanders pretends he's a Democratic Socialist. No, he's a Marxist. There's really no such thing as a Democratic Socialist any more than there's such a thing as a progressive. These are terms. This is phony nomenclature that they come up to try and conceal and camouflage what they are and what they believe. Bernie Sanders' ideology has resulted in the murder, the slaughter of over 100 million human beings. 25% of the population of Cambodia, 60 million people in China, 40 million people in Russia, tens of thousands in Cuba. It's going on now in Venezuela and Nicaragua. And it goes on and on and on. This is who Bernie Sanders is. He's not circumspect. He doesn't back off. He's an old communist. That's what he is. He's been wrong on everything. He's been anti-American on everything. So siding with Marxists, siding with terrorists, siding with genocidal regimes of every kind, while attacking his own country, while trashing his own country, while undermining his own country, and trying to paint you and me, the American people and our ancestors, as horrendous, awful, terrible human beings. And Bernie Sanders isn't even an honest communist. He's enriched himself. He's a multimillionaire. He doesn't live the life that he seeks to impose on everybody else. He left New York, and he lives in Vermont. I have nothing against Vermont. It's one of the nicest places you'll ever see. But why would he go to Vermont? Why doesn't he live the life that he says everybody else should live? That is, why doesn't he live in the inner cities of America? Why doesn't he enjoy the lifestyle that they have in communist China? Or communist Cuba? Or communist Venezuela? Or Islamist Iran, or Islamist Gaza. No, he sits on his fat ass, comfortable in the United States of America, in Vermont, and Your Honor, your senator, spewing his murderous, genocidal propaganda. And ask yourselves why CNN and MSNBC constantly bring this old bag of red lard on their programs to advance his agenda. Why do they do that? Why don't they dismiss him as the communist, hateful man that he actually is? Because they agree with him. Biden embraces him. Biden has embraced his entire agenda. Biden is surrounded by communists associated with Bernie Sanders, other radicals associated with Obama. That's who's making these decisions. Then you have this guy, Anthony Blinken, whose parents are bought and paid for by George Soros. He's a Marxist. He's also a traitor. Oh, Mark, don't say these things. What do you mean? I'll say everything because it's true. So Bernie Sanders has learned from Chairman Mao. He's learned from Chairman Stalin. He's learned from Chairman Castro. He's learned from the communists that he has so idolized over the decades. And what has he learned? He's learned what Saul Alinsky taught so many students like Obama and Hillary Clinton. Target, personalize, and destroy. Target, personalize, and destroy. Target Netanyahu, personalize Netanyahu, destroy Netanyahu, even though Bernie Sanders' problem is with the state of Israel, even though Bernie Sanders' problem is with the Jews in Israel. And don't tell me he's a Jew. He was born a Jew, but he's no more a Jew than Rashida Tlaib, with whom he agrees and she with him. You all have people like this in your own faiths. Bernie Sanders puts his ideology and party ahead of everything else. Ahead of family, ahead of faith, ahead of country. And if it means trashing America to advance his ideology, he'll do it. He's done it his whole damn life, his useless, pathetic life. And here he is again. Here he is again on CNN with Dana Bash, who's also Jewish by birth. So she gives a platform. All the people they can interview on their Sunday show, they pick Bernie Sanders. Why? Because they know he's a Jew hater. He's an Israel hater. He's a Tlaib lover. He's an Islamist lover. He's a Marxist. So CNN puts him on. Why? To attack either Trump or Netanyahu. That's why. CNN is useless. It's pathetic. Look at their hosts. Look at their hosts. So, Dana Bash starts with a clip from Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, a racist, bigot, an America-hating Islamist, a Jew-hating anti-Semite. Dana Bash plays a clip from her and then invites Bernie Sanders on to discuss it. You're disgusting, Dana Bash. You're an embarrassment to the whole country. You're pathetic. That's why you get no ratings. On top of that, you're stupid. You have a low IQ, which is mandatory over there at CNN and MSNBC, and especially The View. Cut one, go.
I think it is really unfortunate that people don't care about the fact that all Jewish kids should be kept safe and that we should not have to tolerate anti-Semitism or bigotry for all Jewish students, whether they are pro-genocide or anti-genocide.
Stop. Whether they're pro-genocide. I am in discussions now, almost negotiations, to play a video on my weekend show. And apparently the lawyers are looking at this. That's about 45 seconds long. Oh, maybe it's longer than that, actually. And it's not the worst videos of what took place on October 7th. Of the hundreds of naked girls, the mass rapes, the bullet wounds to their genitalia, the slashing of their breasts, the removal of their hands and their feet. Do you realize this took place at that Nova Festival where these kids were there? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? Liberal kids. Many of whom believe in a two-state solution, many of whom oppose Netanyahu, how they were brutalized and slaughtered. Isn't it interesting that cable networks don't want to show you that? They'll keep showing you loops of destruction of buildings in Gaza. Why won't they show us what took place? Why won't they show us? Now, whether they or anybody else will, I have posted it on my social sites. This relatively short clip. And you know what you're going to see? You're going to see kids who are the age of your kids, or maybe the age of your grandchildren, lying everywhere, dead, with bullet wounds to the back, bullet wounds to their face, bullet wounds to their chests. It reminds me of my own kids. I'm looking at it. Tears are coming down my face. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at this. Look at this. Utterly unprovoked. Utterly unprovoked. They send in a couple of thousand of these animals, these subhuman monsters, these sadistic animals who are raping and brutalizing and murdering on the spot, cold-blooded. These kids. If this happens anywhere in the world, we ought to be appalled by this. And the people who are responsible for this are hiding out in Rafah on the Gaza Strip. They're hiding out in tunnels with 4 well-armed top battalions of Palestinian terrorists. They're surrounded. The IDF has waited more than a month now to attack them because Biden and Blinken are not happy with the proposals that Israel is having to provide to our government to allow it to attack, to wipe these bastards off the face of the earth so they can enjoy their afterlife and their 72 virgins, rather than raping and pillaging right here on the planet. And all I get from our media and the Democrats are the lies. The very people who did this put out lies about civilian casualties. Now it's up to 35,000. It's a lie. 35,000? There's been a ceasefire for 5 weeks. And every statistician who's looked at this objectively has said it's not possible. And it's not. So why does this administration keep using those numbers? Why do Biden and Blinken use the numbers? Why does Nancy Pelosi use these numbers? Why does Bernie Sanders use these numbers? Why do CNN and MSNBC use these numbers? I'll tell you why. Because anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism, American hatred and Jew hatred go hand in hand, and they go very, very deep into Bernie Sanders' very small cranium, as well as Dana Bash, Jake Tapper, and the other lowlives. They are loathsome. They are loathsome. For Dana Bash to set up the clip with Ilhan Omar and what she said, and then she asks a question like she's saying, these Jews, they're pro-genocide. Do you agree with that? She knows what Sanders is going to say. I'll prove it to you. Go.
Some Jewish students are pro-genocide. Are you comfortable with that?
So, I'm sorry, someone?
She said some Jewish students are pro-genocide. Is that something?
So let me ask you something, Dana, but why do you even play that? I mean, I'm playing it to expose you. But you're not playing it to expose her and these people because you brought in Bernie Sanders to respond to this. Bernie Sanders and Ilhan Omar stand hip to hip. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I don't know exactly. Look, what I think the essential point that Ilhan made is that we do not want to see anti-Semitism in this country. And I think the word genocide is something that is being determined by the International Court of Justice. But this
so
is
stop. So he wouldn't denounce her, did he, Mr. Producer? He didn't denounce her. So he's going to the International Court of Justice because the Democrats in this administration are using the ICC, which is a radical, left-wing, globalist so-called court in The Hague, where we have no representation and where we do not acknowledge any jurisdiction, and neither does Israel, because the radical left-wing prosecutor there, who's chosen by radical left-wing Europeans, Jew-hating, American-hating, Israeli-hating left-wing Europeans, are planning on issuing arrest warrants for the Prime Minister of Israel and his senior staff. And what has this administration done? What has it said? Almost nothing. It's left to the Speaker of the House. It's left to Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate. You don't hear any Democrats condemning this. Why? Because Netanyahu's the boogeyman. They use his name, they use his position. But what they're really saying is, destroy the state of Israel. Our voters demand it.